Hello, my name is Dr. Stacey Gaines with Essentially His Wisdom. And today I just want to dig in a little bit about how you can know that you're partnering with a good company in terms of the brand of essential oils that you're using. So this is something that is really important if you care about safety and if you want to get results when you're using oils. It is also something that I could easily spend an hour on, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to keep it to about 10 minutes or less. But what I do want to do is just give you a high level overview of two main things really that you or anyone who is considering using essential oils should be looking for. So to really understand what makes doTERRA's oils different, we have to first understand how the essential oils industry works. And the bottom line is that the essential oils industry is rampant with adulteration and corruption and shady practices. So much so that cutting corners is actually kind of the standard in the industry. It's not the exception. So it's very common for a company to use a filler like coconut oil to make that oil go further for their profit, or to use a cheaper substitute. So that could be like using lavandin instead of lavender or cassia instead of cinnamon. Very similar scents, but they're very different in terms of the chemical makeup, which is going to give you different results. They can even use a synthetically derived product, and they can get away with this because the labeling laws in the United States let them label an oil as 100% pure as long as there is just one drop of pure essential oil in that bottle. So that is tragic. In my opinion, it is criminal that these companies are just betting on the customer, not knowing these shady, corrupt practices. And these customers are looking at that 100% pure label on an essential oil bottle at Walmart or wherever, and they're thinking that they purchased an oil that's going to be safe and that's going to work and that's going to be effective for their families. So how do we know when an oil is good? I want to give you two things that you should always look for in an essential oil company. The first is sourcing, and the second is testing. So sourcing is simply, where does the plant that the oil is in it come from? Okay, where's it grown? So to help you understand why this is important, I want you to think about an orange. So would you rather eat an orange that comes from a tree that's grown in Florida, where orange trees natively grow, or would you rather eat an orange from a tree that I grow in my backyard here in Indiana? So obviously we're going to choose the Florida orange, right? Because it's going to be sweeter, it's going to be juicier, it's going to taste better. It's just a better orange. It's a higher quality orange, right? And so the climate and the soil and the general environment in Florida, it makes it so that that orange tree thrives there. And then that orange tree produces a nice high quality orange as a result. So this is important with oils because the quality of the plant directly impacts the quality of the essential oil that is coming from that plant. So we want our oils to be sourced from a place where they are natively grown, because that plant is naturally going to be of a higher quality, which is going to make the essential oil that's coming from that plant of a higher quality. Beyond that, because we are good humans and we care about other people, we also want to understand how different people on different stops along the supply chain are treated. So most essential oils are sold by traders or middlemen or brokers who basically coordinate all of the growers, all of the crops, all the distillation in a particular region. So most of these brokers are known to mistreat and manipulate the growers, the harvesters, and the distillation partners. They offer unfair compensation in exchange for the hard work that's provided by the growers and the distillers. And really, they foster a culture of indebtedness and servitude. They will require growers to wait even years to receive full payment for their plant materials that they're spending their days to grow. And so I think of this a lot like essential oil trafficking. It's trafficking of both the people as well as the product. So there's this corrupt growing process happening. Now, to add even more corruption on top of that, there's this practice called adulteration that again is very common in the essential oils industry. Adulteration happens for two main reasons. The first is that the supply chain of essential oils globally cannot support the demand for essential oils. The second is that cost is just simply more important than quality to most companies. So all along the supply chain, you're going to find dirty habits like extracting with solvents or deceptively diluting a product with another plant species or adding in synthetic additives, even selling one plant as another. So there's a lot of false purity claims out there, knowing that these additives can go undetected. And all of this is in an effort, again, to lower costs and extend yields and ultimately increase their profit margins. So it's very common for these brokers to sell to buyers who do not care to test for quality because they know they can get away with it. On the second or beyond that, there's like a growing number of companies who claim to sell pure essential oils. So they're going to label their oils with things like all natural or non-GMO or organic, even that 100% pure that I was talking about. And they can do this because they either are naive or they don't care about quality. They don't want to pay for third-party independent lab testing, or they just plain know that they can get away with it. And unfortunately, most of the time it's the third option there. So the consumer believes that they're getting a natural and a safe product. They're likely uneducated about the different usage models and different grades of qualities in the essential oil industry. And they certainly probably do not know about the corruption that is common in the industry. In fact, when surveyed, most essential oil users think that all essential oil companies are alike, which hopefully you're starting to see here. That couldn't be further from the truth. So sourcing is the first thing that I want for you to ask questions about. Where are the oils coming from? What does the sourcing process look like? How are people treated in that process? So I've chosen doTERRA as the company that I partner with and that I trust to use on my own family because they source their oils all over the world. They source them in the places where that plant grows natively. So that essential oil is going to be of a higher quality because the plants are of a higher quality. They also work directly with the growers to ensure that the best practices are followed for farming that plant, for harvesting that plant, for distilling the oil out of that plant material. And all of this is going to bring about the highest quality essential oils from these plants. They also have eliminated that corrupt middleman and they work directly with the growers, which is very important. So the second thing that you should be concerned about if you care about safety is testing. So testing is what tells you what is in this oil, what is in this bottle. It's what ensures the purity and the potency of the oil. Are the chemical components at the correct levels to bring the therapeutic benefits or the results that you're hoping for when you use this essential oil? Have there been synthetic materials that are cut into this particular bottle? So the quality of the testing is always going to be dependent upon both the types of the tests that are being done and what I call the oil library that the testing lab is using. So if you are testing an oil against a library that has subpar oils in it, it's going to look average. It might even look really, really good. But if you're testing that same oil against a library that is bigger, that has high quality oils, you're going to get a better picture of what's actually going on with the chemical components in that bottle. So you want to test with more than just the standard GCMS test. Every single test that is done on essential oils has its limits. There's only certain things that particular test can tell us. So we need to have a vast number of tests that are completed on every single batch of essential oils so that you know and you get a full picture of what's going on in that bottle. So you want your oils to be tested, you want them to be tested at a top tier laboratory, and you want your oils to undergo more than just 1 or 2 tests. You guys, testing is the only reason that we can count on our oils delivering the same results bottle after bottle. If a company is going to say that their oils are not altered and that they are pure and that they are high quality, they have to put the proof in the pudding, right? They need to have stringent in-house and independent third-party testing. So doTERRA does this with every single bottle. There are a lot of companies out there claiming to do these kinds of things. But when I started researching essential oils and wanting to understand more about the process, I would call a lot of these companies and asked to see their sourcing reports or their testing reports. I was actually hung up on a couple of times. And at best, I was just told that those reports are not public information. That is crazy because they should be public information. So I also learned that some of these companies who were marketing that they sourced just like doTERRA or they had oils just like doTERRA, they actually had oils that didn't pass doTERRA's testing standards for purity or quality. So of course the companies or the growers are still wanting to sell the product, right? They spent their time to do that, but they didn't pass doTERRA standards for purity or quality, so they sold them to somebody else who didn't care about the purity or the quality standards. All right. So doTERRA, this is fascinating to me. They were just part of a multi-phase clinical trial that's still ongoing, but the first 3 phases are complete. And they looked at different companies' lavender essential oil. So beyond just looking at is adulteration present, looking at some of the purity things that I've already mentioned. One of the things that I thought was just really interesting was they looked at the stability of the chemistry from bottle to bottle for these different versions of lavender, these different companies, these different brands of lavender. So doTERRA's was within 0.1 one of the standard on every single bottle. So in the pharmaceutical industry, so if I'm making a drug that I'm going to market and sell, right, I have to have stability in that drug in order to sell it to the public. The FDA requires this. And that stability has to be within 0.1 plus or minus of whatever the standard is for that particular drug in terms of the reactive standard. So for doTERRA, in terms of lavender, that's what we're looking at. This is the same standard of stability that a pharmaceutical company would look at if they were taking this drug to market. You don't see this stability with the other companies that were tested. You also see a lot of adulteration happening with the other companies that were tested. And the stability from bottle to bottle is what it's going to help you know that you're going to get the same results bottle after bottle. So this is amazing. This is groundbreaking. Nobody's ever really done this before. And I just think it's fascinating. So like I said, you really want to think about these two things, sourcing and testing. And the bottom line really comes down to it that doTERRA has raised the bar in the essential oils industry. They have taken themselves out of a very dirty, a very corrupted space to create a new standard of quality. And we call it certified, pure, tested grade standard. And doTERRA's oils, they are by far the most tested oils on the market, which in my opinion is going to make them the most trusted by families who care about safety. Like I said, you might see other companies who are claiming that they're doing it just like doTERRA, or maybe they say that they offer the same sourcing or the same quality that doTERRA does. But when you ask for the proof, it just is not there. They can't render the testing reports. They can't show you a supply chain that has direct access to the growers. And they just are not doing the work that doTERRA is doing to ensure a safe and a sustainable supply. So think about these things. And whatever company of essential oils that you are investigating, I'm confident that doTERRA will be the only company that allows you to check mark those boxes for sourcing and testing. And I would love to answer any questions if you have any for me.